happened with our second child, and we had a 1.5-month-old at the time as well. Doctor's orders, told her she couldn't lift anything above, I don't know if it was 20 pounds or whatever, so she needed my help on this trip. Again, through the Museum of Fine Arts Conservation Department. It wasn't the first time that I'd gone on her career trips, but this one was important. So I used up all my vacation time, but I needed 4 extra days in order to get all the required days off. So I filled out the proper form for unpaid time off for those 4 days. And to my surprise, it took about a week for them to get it back to me. I gave them plenty of notice as well. It must have been a month and a half notice. They denied my 4 days off. So I went, first of all, the form that you fill out, you have to, in addition to that form, write a letter to the director of your department explaining the situation. So I did that. That was denied. I went up to Human Resources. They told me that there was no family leave I could take. I guess it's tougher for the father. They gave me some excuses. They weren't a big help. I then sent the director an email sort of appealing to her compassion as a parent, and she never wrote me back. So at this point, I filled out a form. I'd gone to Human Resources. I'd sent an email, and I had no luck. So since that was denied, I went to my union president, and we began the grievance process. And that grievance, we sat down with one of our supervisors, and that grievance was denied as well. So I'm still in the museum at this point, but I had to go help my wife, and I said, look, I gotta go, these tickets are purchased. So I left. The grievance was still pending at this point, or I may have, my union president could probably refresh my memory on that, but I think that grievance was denied as well. That was denied as well. So I went to Korea, and also my union president at that time was trying to get my shifts covered. He met with one of the management supervisors, a fellow named Malcolm, and Malcolm led him to believe if these shifts are covered, that's fine. And so I was in touch with them because I was worried, because I know how the museum operates. Anyway, on maybe the last 2 or 3 days of my trip, I got an email that said, Mr. Your employment at the museum has been terminated. So I had been there for 15 years at this point. I had been written up once in that 15 years for a cell phone violation. And I copped to that. I was looking at the time or whatever. But so 15 years of service. I feel I was a valued employee. I was a valued employee, and I was let go. It was a very emotional day for me that day, and my wife couldn't believe it. Really devastated, actually. I cried. We all cried. It was hard to believe. So I was kind of embarrassed by this whole situation. I was going to keep it off of social media, and then I said, no, I think people should know about this. And the moment that I posted it on my Facebook, I got just a flood of support from all over, from people that I know, from people that I don't know, from organizations, from people who have been going through the same thing with their employers. And so at this point, there was a final grievance meeting. I'm now terminated. I'm back in the States. I have a meeting with my director of protective services. And the first thing she says to me, I go in with my union president. She tells me, John, you're one of our best employees, and I want to resolve this matter. And I'm thinking, okay, this is what you do to your best employees. Trying to take care of my family. I didn't go for a pleasure trip. So anyway, she talked in circles for about 40 minutes and resolved nothing. So I stormed out of that meeting, and I said before I left that I had not gone to the media at this point. I am a known musician in Boston. I've been on the cover of the Herald. I was actually on the cover of the Herald about a year before this happened. They were talking about musicians and their day jobs, and the Herald contacted me to do a photo shoot in the museum I was on the cover of the Herald promoting the museum. Of course, the museum had nothing to do with this. But they don't think of us as people with talents and abilities and lives. They just think of us as a union that they want to break, and they fired me. But they forgot that I do have friends. And my friends really came through for me. And they were sending letters to the new director of the museum, hundreds. And he responded with a letter saying that I gave them no notice. They didn't know where I was. And that Mr. Kohida just left us high and dry, which was a complete lie. It's slanderous. So anyway, I told her I was going to take this to court, and there wasn't a court of law that would uphold what they did to me. And within about 24 hours, they agreed to take me back. What they said was with full pay and an apology to my family. They never gave me the pay, and they haven't apologized to my family, but they did give me my job back. Since that time, it's been unrelenting targeting of guards, humiliating our workforce, making us feel worthless, when we're an excellent workforce. I really believe that the Protective Service Department cares more about the artwork even than they do. And they give us very little reason to care, but we still protect the art because it needs protection. But anyway, I'm back. It's a very demoralizing situation.